Understand what an API is, how it works, and why our weather app needs one. So far, our app can read the city name entered by the user. So, like I have this, I can click on search and then it will read that name and save it into the city variable. But in this lesson, we want to understand a very important concept which we are going to be implementing in this application, and that is the concept of API. Now, we are building a weather app, but where will the weather information come from? Well, we need to get it from a service on the internet, and that service is called an API. An API simply means application programming interface. It is what allows one application to communicate with another. Our weather app will send a city name to the weather API, and the API will send back the weather information. So when a user searches for a city name, for example, maybe someone puts something like Liberia and they search for it. Now, when we click on search, our application will make a request. So it will send a request like from this app, and then it will send it to that weather API. And that weather API is now going to be what will return the response. And when it responds, the response might look something like this in form of JSON. So it will look something like this. And inside it, you can have a name, and it will have, a value. Let's say Liberia. That is the name of what we just entered. And we can have main as well. And inside it, we can have a couple of other information like maybe temperature, can be 30, it can have humidity and wind speed. And outside of this, we can also have something like the weather outside here. So use command to separate it, and then you can have something like the weather. And this weather might contain an array, maybe a description and a whole lot of other information. So this is how the response usually looks like. So, and when we make such a request in this our application, so we always get something like this back in a JSON format. So before we start fetching real weather data, it is just important for us to understand where the data we are about to fetch actually comes from. And that is because our weather app does not know the weather by itself. So instead, it will ask another application for the information. And that application is called an API, which stands for Application Programming Interface, like I said already. Think of an API as a messenger. Our app just basically sends a request containing the city name, and then the API sends back a response that contains the weather information for that particular city name. And most APIs return their data in a format called JSON. And it is easy for JavaScript to reach. In the next lesson, we will start to connect our weather app to real weather API and make our first request. But now, I think we have understood what an API really is and how important it is to the application that we are building.